Welcome back to Techtonica, where last time we ended up building our shopping mall, building just about every item that we can build so far in the game. We also did the first repair of the Victor terminal, providing us access to new upgrade tiers, as well as new production items such as the electric thresher, the voltage stepper, the high voltage cable, new lights, whoa, and also the stack inserter. Now, I also have another correction for my smelter. I promise, this is the last one. After I finished the episode, I noticed that the smelters were too starved, as we only have one inserter performing the input, which is not enough to meet that 20 to 21 per minute smelting. So we need to upgrade them to fast inserters or stack inserters if you have them. Also, I talked about the fact that the power floor and the power stairs were outputting at 50 items per minute, which is actually incorrect. They're actually outputting at 100 items per minute, which means 2 fast inserters is not enough. With all that in mind, I decided I wanted to go back and retest all of the inserters to see if I can get a more accurate count of the number of items per minute they could move. So I set up a better test than I did before, where I was just timing the animation. So I loaded a crate with limestone, and then I set up a belt from one crate to another. And this way I could put one inserter on one end and one inserter on the other, and it would start moving items from one container to the other. At that point, I would just look at the very center of the belt and start a 1-minute timer, and then I would count the number of items that would cross the belt in the course of a minute, and I would repeat that test a few times to get an accurate count. I do have an autosave going on that creates a slight stutter. These numbers may not be 100% accurate, but they should be pretty close to the real numbers. The regular inserter is able to move items at a rate of 18 items per minute. The long inserter, which allows you to move items 2 blocks away, has the same rate as the regular inserter at 18 items per minute. The fast inserter moves at a rate double that of the regular inserter and moves 36 items per minute. Originally, I had stated 40, but that was from measuring the animation time and not the actual items that move across a belt. The filter inserter, which requires an item to be set to move anything, also moves at least 36 items per minute. Now, I did have some very interesting numbers with this that I sometimes got to 37 or 38, which made me question if the filter inserter could move items at a rate of 37.5 items per minute. But conservatively, I'm just going to say, since it's based on the fast inserter, that it moves items at the same rate, which is 36 items per minute. And then we come to the stack inserter, which moves 3 items per cycle. It does have a very high rate at maximum speed, which is at least 60 items per minute. I did get some variance, which made me question if it was 63 or 66 items per minute, but conservatively, I'm going to say 60 items per minute. However, once we get the technology upgrades to upgrade it to, say, 4 items per minute, that'll add an additional 20 items per minute, making it 80 items per minute. So every additional stack will add 20 items per minute. Keep in mind, this is still alpha. These numbers could change if the developers decided they wanted to mess with me and see if I actually wanted to recount all of this again. And this leads back to the small, compact little setup we have here for the flooring and stairs, which are producing 100 items per minute. What we need is stack inserters in order to export the full 100 per minute, which is what we're going to do today. And in order to get stack inserters produced in our mall, we need to build cooling systems, which can only be done inside an assembler, which require silverthorn coolant, which will require silverthorn extract, which will be done in a thresher. So we need to do that today and get our cooling system running so we can get stack inserters. Future Dan here. I realized while editing this episode that I was calling all of these Shiverthorn components Silverthorn incorrectly. So please forgive any errors for the rest of this episode. Now, originally I was thinking I would probably do the coolant somewhere back here, but that's when I looked on the map and I noticed that if I put a room back there, I'm probably going to hit that chamber that had the little tiny building into it, which is not what I want. So what I'm thinking is that we're going to go underneath and we're going to build our coolant system lab below our mall, which I think will be really cool. And now that I think about it, I wouldn't mind necessarily having it built with access to the limestone node that we have running overhead. What we're going to do is we're going to extend this little hole I have here just a little bit, and then we're going to start going down. So this looks deep enough. Probably went a little lower than we needed to, but that's okay. So I think what we can do is now turn to the north, and we can start clearing out a work area. I didn't intend for it to be this big, but here we are. So here's what we need to do. We need to build silverthorn extract, which is a process done in the thresher, kind of like the Kindle vines for plant matter. but using those blue seeds instead. But either way, we need to start with the thresher. In order to do that, we need to get some power down here. So we need to get that stairway set up and get flooring down in here. Okay, we've got some power floors down here and a little bit more, which would involve this with some belts coming down. And you might be like, well, Dan, you didn't say anything about that. And actually, I'm going to tell you that I did say something about this. Problem is you didn't hear it. You know why? Because I recorded it and then I went back to play back what I said and it sounded something like this.
And I didn't have power run through them, so I eventually just had to add power floors, and I kind of went a little overkill.
And now you know, and that's why. So let me just explain what's going on here. In order to make our coolant system, we're going to need silverthorn coolant, and then we can make our cooling system. In order to make silverthorn coolant, besides the limestone, we're going to need iron components. And to make the cooling system, we need mechanical components. And if I decided I wanted to build it down here, since we have lots of room, so we're going to obviously make the silverthorn extract down here. But then, in order to get the limestone, iron components, and mechanical components down here, I need to be able to bring some belts down. So I built this shaft that went all the way up to our limestone. As you can see, the limestone shaft running here. And then I built this little downward shaft all the way up to it, right in the middle between our stairway and our little secret room here. It also goes up to the shopping mall. From the shopping mall, we can actually send items from the bus for the iron components and mechanical components down here. I also tested out the electric thresher with the silverthorn and the regular plant food. Now, interesting enough, this is actually twice as fast with the regular plant matter, meaning we could actually go back to our fuel plant and reduce the number of threshers in half, which is great, save us some room. It's not more efficient, just faster. But with silverthorn, the numbers are slightly different. Okay, so in the planter, we still get to put 4 seeds, and those 4 silverthorn seeds will be converted into silverthorns over the course of 3 minutes, giving us a total of 1.33 repeating per minute silverthorn. And if we multiply that by 4 planters, we'll get a total of 5.33 repeating per minute. And just keep that as a mental note for a moment. Okay, let's move on to the electric thresher. Now, in the electric thresher, it will take the silverthorn and convert it into 5 silverthorn extract and a single silverthorn seed over the course of 11.25 seconds, giving us a total input of 5.33 repeating silverthorn and outputting 26.66 repeating silverthorn extract and 5.33 repeating silverthorn seeds. Sorry about all the repeating numbers. Thank the devs. Now keep in mind, this means that the 5.33 repeating silverthorn seed output from the 4 planters exactly matches the input of the thresher. Keep in mind, this is alpha. These numbers are subject to change. A herd of fluffy cats could raid Firehouse Studios, running across keyboards, changing numbers in protest for being underrepresented in the game. Or I just did a really bad job of counting everything, which is a weird number when we look at the rest of the production line. Because the next part of the production line is going to be silverthorn coolant, which is nice because it is on a 6-second cycle and it generates 50 per minute. The problem is it needs 30 silverthorn extract per minute, and our one thresher is only producing 26.66, which in itself isn't bad. Different numbers in these kinds of video games are normal, and they just help breed your creativity. The only weird thing about it is we'd need about, to get this to a even number, to a number that's divisible by 30, basically, is we need about 9 of these setups, 9 electric threshers full running to get us about 240 per minute, which is then divisible by 30. That is okay, all things considered. Because this thing does 50 per minute, with our reduced rate, we'll be doing maybe 44 per minute or something, which is okay because the next part of the plan is going to be the coolant system, which only requires 30 coolant per minute, which is a good way to work it out. So if this is making 44-ish per minute of the coolant, and this only needs 30 per minute of the coolant to make the cooling systems, that means we can send up some of the coolant and some of the cooling systems up to our bus. Now, apparently coolant is going to also be useful for the mole later to cool it off. So having some extra left over, good. So while the number systems are all weird a little bit, it works out in our favor. So we're going to set that up. And I still have to dig a hole to go up for our 2 output items. Don't ask me why I'm raising it up. I just want to do some fun with it. This may be bigger than we need. The most optimal configuration that I think is the one that minimizes seeds on a belt. And if we had our thresher, say, here, we'll center it. So we had the line here. Come on, work with me. There we go. There you go. You can do it. But I would think the seeds could come out here. This would be the shortest belt possible. The only problem I have is that seeds that don't get used by these two will get stuck here at the end, and they won't get back. So one slightly better configuration. And so this way the seeds are still kind of cycling around, so they won't get stuck. I don't know if this is a better idea or not, but at this way, at least the seeds don't get stuck at the end of the line, just sitting there waiting, not being used by potentially a planter that could use them. Our vines are going to come from the outside, because we actually don't care about how long they're on the belt. They're not too bad. They're the ones that get backed up inside the thresher. So as long as one's in the thresher, we're all good. All right, so in case all my editing sucks, here's a quick review. So our planters are all set up. The silver vine is going to go out on the outside into the thresher. Our thresher is going to process it, rip it apart, tear it apart, shred it, just dissect it, destroy it, you know, all that good stuff. Whatever it does, it just obliterates it. Our seeds are going to come out here and going to go around this little racetrack. Our actual extract is going to come out the front here, down this little ramp, and into this storage container. Now, I said we'll be doing, actually this won't work. I said it does 26.5 per minute, so we need a fast inserter, not a regular inserter. All right, let me go work on the production line, and we'll see how it turns out. All right, so I've made a little progress. The thresher system is running fine. There's probably like 24 to 28 seeds in the system, a little more than I'd like. That keeps it running full time though. Might be able to handle a little less. Over here, I moved the box a little bit, and I brought in our iron components and mechanical components. The limestone line is empty because I currently am using a container full of limestone to feed this coolant thing. But I brought the iron components down over this little bus, down behind it, and the limestone will be behind it eventually. And the silverthorn extract, which looks like Kindlevine on the belt, is going into the machine, and we are producing coolant. And that coolant is combining with the mechanical components in order to make cooling systems, and they're both sent out on a belt. I dug a hole and sent them up in 2 more spirals back up to our shopping mall level. Also, the excess coolant we need actually for the terminal upgrade, which will actually need 2,000, and we're only making 10 a minute. I may double this entire production line just to speed that process up. I mean, if our iron components and mechanical components will keep up with it, I don't know. That's okay. All right, let me take care of that, and we'll do some decorating. Okay, we're back. And so I've done a lot of work, and while I was working, I was looking around, and I noticed something, and I noticed that the miners were completely devouring the ore nodes. I didn't know this would happen, but now I do. So if you're wondering if the ore is infinite or not, here's your answer. So we'll have to rearrange these. I already did some work rearranging the iron node a little bit. Obviously, I'm going to have to continue touching this up. I also had to give the same treatment to the limestone node that we were using. So I've sunk the drills down into the floor, and I've rearranged the room just a little bit, kept my doors, and everything's working fine. I also added a limestone box at the end so I could dump limestone in it, so it would kind of like minimize the amount of work the drills are doing, slow things down. Here's the belts coming up from the secret coolant lab. There's our belts going down to the secret coolant lab. And let's go ahead and take a tour, shall we? So we'll take our walk down this lovely stairway and into the coolant lab, where I have done a little work. So I have doubled our silverthorn extract production, just so that I can double the entire line of making coolant and coolant systems, so things could go faster, because I want that 2,000 cooling systems. And it's pretty simple. I just brought the silverthorn extract around front, and I dove it down here just for a fun view between the two. And the iron components and limestone are coming down the middle. I also have another box of limestone here that I had over there, and it's just supplementing the line again, still minimizing the amount of limestone that's being used from the node. The cooling systems here are running, sending out preferably 20 per minute, because I don't look like I'm starved on anything. And I did some decorating. I added a bunch of red cores around the wall, just kind of give it that lab glow. I would have really wished for blue cores, because the secret coolant lab should be blue. Hint, hint, chuckle, chuckle. Yeah, blue, please, blues. Same thing down here. I hid some red cores down there just to give some nice fun light effects. And I dug deeper over here to add the second thresher, added a roof, more red cores around, just we're giving the good lighting to that silverthorn. Everything's running great here. Let's go back up top. I feel like I need to add a door or a stairway to get around this bus. It really is a secret lab, because you'll never find it unless you know where it is. So I added a few more machines. A couple things were missing. I added storage containers, I believe voltage steppers, and then this one is doing the high voltage wires, but I'm also sending the cooling systems in here because we need just 2,000. Cooling systems come down from this line. It splits up here and then goes back to the bus behind it, and then just splits over here and goes a little bit in here. So once I got 2,000 here, I can cut off this split and move that a little bit back, get it out of the way. So we got just about everything we need for the terminal upgrade. We'll do that in the next episode, and then since we'll be on the last terminal at that point, we'll start planning for actual factories to do all of the remaining stuff. We will not rely on our shopping mall. That's going to be it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.